It's your boy Good Feats, and we're back with Building One Fast Manual G80, vlog episode number 9. How's everybody doing? I am fresh off of work, y'all, so I am extremely tired. But it's the end of the week. It's Friday. Unfortunately, I do work tomorrow. I had off yesterday. But I do work tomorrow, so it's not quite the end of my week just yet. But we are getting there. Next week is Thanksgiving, so shout out to and happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I hope you guys spend this time well with your families. But just like I told you guys, this is going to be a really special video. I think you guys will enjoy this video quite a bit. Over this video, we're going to be itemizing what I've spent for all of the parts so far and how much money I've already spent on the G80 before it's even got here and before it's even been started building. Like I told you guys before, it is sitting in production. But production has not allocated or started yet. It is supposed to start about a month and a half from now. So I should have the car about 3.5 to 4 months from now. But we will go over everything price by price. I'll tell you guys where I got it from. To kind of give some information on like whether or not I had to spend horrendous money on tariffs. I had to spend a lot of money on tariffs on some of these parts. And then just the overall wait time for most of these parts. So it'll be a good video. It'll be really informative, and it'll help all my guys that are looking into trying to do a lot of the similar things that I have already completed. So here's a good little roadmap for you guys. But before we even get into that, let's knock out you guys' favorite segment of the show. What are the good feats of the day? I'm gonna go with one of the bangers of this year. So if you guys know this box, you guys know this box. It says 2005 to 2025. So it's been about a 20-year gap in between when this shoe originally released in its OG form. This is a shoe that made top 3 shoe of the year for 2025. Out of those 3 shoes, so out of like the top 10 shoes for this year, I think I was able to get like 6 or 7 of them. And out of the top 3, I was able to get 2 of them. So that is super dope. I had featured the best shoe of the year a couple episodes back. If you guys remember the Brick by Brick, the all red suede ones made by Nigel Sylvester. Those 4s were the national shoe of the year, or the global shoe of the year, because it's not even just national, it's a worldwide thing. So that was the global shoe of the year, so that was pretty dope. And this was number 2. So I'm excited to have this. I didn't get these on release date. Funny enough, I tried getting this shoe between like 3 or 4 different raffles when it came out, and I bombed every raffle, dude. Like, I was pissed off. I just happened to go online the other day, a couple weeks ago, and I saw like randomly, like the price just dropped like randomly, so it's like $100 over resale. So I was just like, this will probably be the best it ever gets, because this shoe will probably be worth a couple hundred, if not, 1,000 plus, in a couple years. So I was just like, now is the opportunity for me to get it. $100 over resale is $100 over retail. I apologize, it's not bad. But anyway, nice cool box. Get right into the shoe. That's what y'all want to see. Still got in the wrapping paper. I wore these yesterday, so I wore them one time. So they have been unboxed. But 20 years later, we have the Undefeated 4s. These are so clean, dude. And I bought like a fire hoodie to go with them. Yeah, these are so clean. I ain't gonna lie, it's been a year of the 4s. And it's crazy because I've always loved Jordan 4s, but I never bought any. Yeah, I never bought any, I don't think. Maybe back in the day, but like not too many. I bought so many Jordan 4s this year. Like, they've been coming out with so many colorways. Like, I love the Jordan 4s. This is starting to become my second favorite Jordan. So everybody know 11s are my favorite. Like, and that probably will never change. But the 4s are making a really strong case, dude. I'm really starting to love the 4s. All right, so olive green suede, black toe box, white rear and midsole, black gum, orange gum. I swapped out the black laces and went with the orange laces because the hoodie I bought was an orange hoodie. So these are fire. Y'all know the vibes. Let's slide out to the hallway and throw these on the feet so y'all can see what they look like. have it, the Undefeated Fours. It's just such a tough sneaker. Such a tough sneaker. But alright, without further ado, let's get into this video. This is a video that I had to contemplate and think about for a while. I had to kind of get over my initial feeling. I genuinely don't like doing videos like this. Where I'm from, it's a big thing for like people not to pocket watch you. So I had to get over that initial reaction of myself. I never like telling people how much I spend for things and how much money I spend on things, because the people try to kind of like size you up, try to figure out like how much money you make and all this other stuff, and start trying to live your life. I don't like that kind of energy, and I don't like that kind of atmosphere and just culture. So I typically don't like telling people how much I spent for like what I just spend on things, period. I don't like people to know how much money I make, how much money I spend. That's in the third. But I realized that even though this may draw some of that attention, this is probably going to be extremely helpful for a lot of people that are looking to do this. So it's going to be one of two things. It's either going to deter some people that are not as wholeheartedly interested in doing this like I am, that could be like, yo, I want to do this because it seems cool. It's probably going to deter some of you guys, like, holy crap, this is how much money like this costs to do this. And then some of you guys, it's going to help you out to kind of map and have a game plan on like, hey, this is something that I do want to do, and I'm glad that there's somebody that put all the information together and was able to show me where to get these parts from, and for me to know and expect how much I'm going to be spending before I even delve and get into this, so I can do it the right way. Because the worst thing is starting a build and getting kind of knee deep into it, and then realizing that there's so much more money on the back end that you have to pay for that you wasn't expected to do, and now you just have a car that's sitting around without getting done for so long. So most projects and most cars, when you have guys that initially jump into something head first, and then you got the homie who car sitting on cinder blocks for 2 or 3 years, a lot of it's because of this. They didn't know what they were getting into before they started, and then they ended up coming 10, 15, 20, 30 grand short than what they thought that they wanted to do, or wanted to spend, or thought what they were gonna have to spend, and now they're just sitting there and invested so much money into something that they can't complete, can't finish. So this is just to be informative and to help you guys. So that's why I kind of got over that whole initial, like, I don't want people knowing what I'm paying, and I don't want people pocket watching me, this and the third. Because I know it's gonna help some of you guys out, whether it's helping you guys out to be like, yo, I don't want to do that. I don't want to invest this much money into this because it's not my dream car, or like, hey, this is my dream car. Now I know I can start saving and putting money to the side and develop an actual plan to execute this fully. All right. So, all right. We're going to end up changing some scenery. You guys are always in my room all the time with this. And we're going to end up going over to my job. And then we'll go over all the stuff that I've purchased and how much it's cost. All right. Let me catch y'all in the office. All right, y'all. We made it to my job. Today has been one hell of a day. So I'm coming live to you guys at the end of my shift. But I told you guys I will get this all knocked out. So that is what I'm going to do. Before we even get into the pricing and the parts breakdown and itemized list of all that I've done, I want to cut in with an excerpt right here, so you guys can see what my storage unit currently looks like with all these parts. so you see your boy going crazy. It's almost to the point where I can't even go inside the storage unit. I'm still waiting for a couple items, like I told you guys before. It's about 4 items. It is 5 actually. It's 5 items left. That I have to squeeze inside that storage unit and wait for the car to get here. What I'm waiting for left is my stuff from Keys, and my stuff from Auto Technic, and my stuff from Myers Fabrication, and then SSR. I'm waiting for my roll cage to come in. So that stuff was already done. It just takes a while. A lot of this stuff that I'm getting is custom built and custom made. So it's not just kind of sitting on the shelf waiting to be shipped to me. So I've been having to wait the lead time for them to actually build it and do, produce the items the way that I want before they can send it my way. But neither here nor there. Let's start with this list. All right, so you see, I took the time for a nice little list for you guys. Look at all these parts, dude. 2 pages full, and I don't even got my keys yet. I might legitimately have a problem. I've came to that realization over the last couple of weeks that I might have an addiction problem. But I'm okay with that. I'm okay with my addiction. I hope you guys are too. But all right, let's get into this list. Number 1. I went with Doc Race for my single turbo kit. And then before I even go through pricing, I'll let you guys know there's a couple things on here that I'm not going to talk pricing for. So I'm going to talk what you guys are, or what you guys would pay. I apologize. My sponsors have asked me not to put out into the universe or put out online what my price is, because they're giving me special prices on certain things, and they don't want people coming in, I guess, asking for my price or saying, hey, you gave Good Feets this price, you got to honor it. So in respect to my sponsors, I am not going to mention what I paid, but I will mention here what the item costs. That way you guys will know what you'll be paying should you go that route. But all right, my Doc Race kit. I caught that on Black Friday sale, or was it Black Friday or Cyber Monday, whatever it's called these days. But I did catch that on sale. That unit was $1,500 cheaper than what it was. Typically the Doc Race kit is $10,000. I paid $8,650, so I paid $8,650 for my Doc Race kit, the single turbo kit, and that comes with everything: the turbo, all the hot side parts, all the cold side parts, all the fittings, lines, oil cooler lines. Came with blow off valves, came with waste gates, came with everything, the whole shebang bang. All right, so you could be looking to get hit at minimum around eight, 9 grand. Typically they're around 10 grand for that. Also purchased, I don't like running the cone filter, so I purchased a precision turbo guard. That way I can protect any debris, for the most part, or bigger chunks of debris from making impact with the turbine wheel, without having to run the actual full filter. I did pay $103.92 for that turbo guard. This is one of the first items that I told you guys I'm not going to be telling you guys what I specifically paid for, because my sponsors asked me not to. I have a sponsorship with Valtronic. Once again, shout out my boy Austin. Very dope individual, very dope person. For most of y'all that don't know, for some of you guys that have came late, Valtronic is now on version 3 of their full exhaust systems for the G80 platform. I had the honor of lending Austin my vehicle. That way he can build this version. So the actual version that this exhaust is now currently, actively for the G80s, is high in part because he used my car for R&D to actually build this exhaust. So all you G80s out there, like, I'm kind of your pops, you know what I mean? No, I'm playing with y'all. But typically this exhaust system will cost you, for the spec that I have, it'll cost you around $3,500. I'm not going to talk about what I paid for or if I paid for, but that is my sponsor, so he took care of me. And once again, huge shout out to my guy Austin and the entire team, not just Austin, but all the guys down there at Valtronic. Love you guys and keep doing what you guys do. Next up is PFS. I had went with them to get my lower pressure fuel pump and also my port injection kit. So I spoke to you guys previously. I do intend to get a lot more power out of this vehicle compared to what it is in its stock form. In order to do that, I am running DI, which is direct injection, and I'm also adding a secondary fueling system. So I'm also adding port injection as well. So the lower pressure fuel pump and the PI kit that comes with the rails, the connections, and all that stuff like that, that ran your boy 1525. All right. As soon as you add boost, you have to have a boost controller. So I went with Race Art from my Mac Valve. That wasn't too bad at all. That was $68. And then I also went with Race Art for the Mac Valve bracket. That way the boost controller, the Mac Valve can actually sit in a bracket and not, I think back to like when I had my Evo, we kind of zip tied it to, there was like two open holes in the engine bay, like small puncture holes. We like zip tied it. This is, like I told you guys, this is a no nonsense, no cut corner build. This is going to be a show car and a street demon. So I want to have this car done correctly, so we're not zip tying stuff to my firewall. Like, we're not doing that with this car. All right. Next up was my PR fittings, and I also chose to go with GM for my flex fuel sensor. Those 180-degree fittings and my flex fuel sensor did run your boy $188. Next up, for the port injection kit, we also have to have injectors. So I chose to go with a fan favorite. It's something that a lot of people use, and then even me myself. Back in the day when I had my fully built Evo 9, I also used these injectors as well. I was direct injection at that time, but I have replaced my stock injectors with these. So I went with ID 1050s. Actually, I lied. My Evo, I went with 2100s. So I had like ID 2200s or whatever those were, 2150s or whatever. But I chose to go with the ID 1050s, which would be more than enough fuel, port injection wise, for the application that I'm going to be needing. And those injectors, they ran me 855. And then once you have port injection and you introduce the secondary fueling and you introduce the turbo, you introduce all these things, you need a brain box. You need something that is controlling that, controlling the Mac valves, controlling everything. Not just the ECU. So my tuner has a brain box that they put together. So most people run one or two brain boxes. Most people run either the boot mod, the Revision 2 or Rev 2, and then everybody else typically runs Motive Reflex. I was thinking about running Motive Reflex. Motive Reflex kind of scares me. There's not a lot of parameters as far as safety in the Motive Reflex, and then Rev 2 is pretty good. But my tuner Ben Calibration, they have came out with their own brain box, and this thing is mad, dude. Like, yeah, I hope I'll be able to kind of shoot and show you guys all the cables and then like both modules and everything together. It's like mad, dude. Like, they're geniuses over there. But they created their own brain box. It's called SciVac or OEX. It's supposed to be about 10 times faster than Rev 2 and even more faster than Motive Reflex, and it has a way more safety parameters. So I have a knock sensor, I have cooling sensor, cooling pressure sensor, cooling temperature sensor, and these are all things that, like, if it's out of parameters, the car would kill itself in order for preservation. And then I also have fuel cutoff, and I also have the ability to have 6 other auxiliaries. So I can add so many more as we're tuning. We can add so many more parameters. Like, hey, if coolant pressure is like da 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 da, that typically happens when the head is lifting off of the block. So if we get coolant pressure at this psi, then we're gonna kill it. If we get fueling under 1700 psi at the rail, then we can kill. When we're playing the game that we're playing, like I told you guys, this is a no corner cut build. These motors are not cheap. Just an overall long block will probably run you 20 grand or so in that neighborhood. Um, I do not want to have to shell out 20 grand to replace a motor. If I have to, I have to. But if I could try to prevent that from happening, I'm going to prevent that. Um, with all these parameters and how good the Cyvac is, it is a lot more expensive compared to any other thing on the market. So yeah, I'll be prepared. But this brain box, and I didn't get the highest tier. So it comes in several tiers. So they have one for track use, which has like 10 auxiliaries, and like two more other safety parameters. So it's like six parameters and like 10 auxiliaries. So overall, it's like 16. Types of cuts you can do. I think for mine it was like 12 or something, or 10, or one of the two. I think I'm at 10, possibly. I don't remember fully. But I chose to have the second highest tier, which is kind of like street slash track use, moderate track use, instead of like full time track beating on the car. So this brain box cost me $38.90. So it was just about $100 shy of 4 grand. The next was all my Doe 88 parts. At this point in time, I ain't gonna lie, your boy's gonna try to get a sponsor with Doe 88, because like I'm about to be putting on for them, because I got a lot of their items. So for starters, I had got the Doe 88 intake manifold, or some of you younger guys might call it air cooler. BMW tends to call them air coolers now, but a lot of my boomers and my older guys like myself, we know these items to be intake manifolds. So my intake manifold ran me $3,020, so just slightly over 3 grand. And then I also got both of my auxiliary radiators. So these next three items. This wasn't a necessary to do. But I told you guys before. Once again, this is a no cut corner build. I want to make sure that I can run the amount of power that the car can run, but I want to make sure that it's running safely and efficiently. I don't want to run 900 horsepower and then the car is going in limp mode every other pull, or I don't want to run 850 horsepower and I'm running the risk of blowing up the car, or overrunning the turbo or whatever. I've built a ton of cars in my life. I'm about 20 years into doing this. I've learned a lot. I've learned some corners you could cut. I learned other corners you haven't cut, that you can't cut. So this, excuse my language, is kind of a no bullshit. Let's build a monster, and let's build the most efficient monster we can. So I know a lot of guys, auto and manual, are keeping all of these stock components. I'm choosing not to. I understand that the better my IATs are, or the lower my IATs are, and the lower my overall engine temperature is, the hotter I can run the car, the more boost I can run, the more spark I can run, the more I can get out of the car. All right. So my whole goal with doing this was to try to limit those numbers as much as possible. That way we can try to squeeze out 30, 40, 50 more horsepower here and there, 30, 40, 50 more torque here and there. Because ultimately the goal is to make 4 digits as safely and efficiently as possible. So I had got this all in a group. I don't know what the pricing is individually for all three of these, because I had purchased this through Frank's shop. I had purchased this through Frank himself. But I purchased both my auxiliary radiators. I purchased my heat exchanger, and I also purchased my oil cooler. That all in total, all three of those items ran me $22.52. So $2,252. And that, for the most part, is all the engine stuff. Now we'll go over to the things that I've gotten as far as the drive line, as far as transmission, or that part of the powertrain. I purchased an RTD short shifter kit. The one thing I want to say, I want to backtrack a little bit. All my Doe 88 stuff, I want to give a big salute and shout out to Doe 88. Like, this is like, I am gonna figure out a way to get a sponsorship with them, because I actually really love them. These guys' company. This was some of, out of all the items that I ordered, this was some of the easiest stuff that got to me, right? It was all coming overseas. The tariffs weren't extremely high. That's the one thing about all this stuff. I got killed on tariffs, so like, you guys be prepared for that too. But I didn't get killed on tariffs with them. And what also happens is, like, when you're dealing with this tariff nonsense, your car parts will get stuck in customs for a while. None of my Doe 88 stuff happened like that, and even the items that they had on back order, they supplied it and got it back in inventory really, really fast and got back to me. So things that were back ordered, I was still getting it within 14 days, which is phenomenal. So Doe 88, big shout out to them. All right, so RTD. The shifter and everything, you guys went over the review. The shifter was great. RTD, was a headache for me to deal with. I'm not even lying to you guys. I got hit with tariffs. The tariffs wasn't insanely high, but it took about like 4 months for me to get my item, and there was no ETA or anything. It kind of was like a ghost in the wind, and then all of a sudden my shifter showed up, or the tracking number just popped up one day after like 4 months. So I'm not gonna lie, RTD definitely. Their customer service is really really crappy. And you kind of like, did I lose my money? And then all of a sudden your stuff just shows up. All right, but for my RTD shifter kit, I paid $960. I also purchased a clutch stop for better engagement. The clutch stop was $20.25. I don't remember the brand name company for that. I went with Rogue Engineering to get my clutch pedal. The stock G80 pedal is plastic. I end up buying the metal pedal from Rogue Engineering. That also shipped to me extremely fast. I purchased it. Rogue Engineering, it came from IND. IND is out there in Chicago. I had got my clutch pedal within like 2 days. It was like super fast. It was $687 for that. And then lastly, for my trans related stuff, I had purchased a PTB or Wagner clutch, which is kind of the go-to clutch for all us manual guys. That was $3,000 even, and that was because of tariffs. I got killed on tariffs. Like I paid like almost $700 in tariffs for that. The clutch itself was like 2,300. The tariffs were 700. That was like, It got here really fast. Shout out to Adam at True Crane. He was the one that made sure I got everything. He got all the information and everything to FedEx really fast, so they were able to release my items. But I got obliterated in tariff fees. All right, let's move on next to the suspension stuff. I had went with Suspension Secrets, and I had purchased their handling pack. That was $4,566. That came with a plethora of things, as well as my springs and my KW has kit. So that why it was a little pricey, because it was the KW has kit and all the other suspension components to make the handling like pristine in the vehicle. That way I can make sure, even though I'm running a rear wheel drive vehicle, that I'm able to put all the power down. Then I went with EBC red stuff for the red pads. Those were $122. I have a sponsorship with VT Ford, so once again, I'm not going to say what I paid or what my price was, but I got some custom wheels made. If you guys remember, originally my wheels were black and orange. To have that set up, you're going to be looking at $5,000. That is not what I paid, but that's what you guys should expect to pay should you go to VT Ford and get a set of wheels yourself. I then now recently changed my wheel color from black and orange to suit the first G80 to now suit my second G80. I'm not telling you guys the color of that yet, almost slipped up. But to get it powder coated and to get my tires mounted and balanced was $1,680. It was $1,500 for the powder coat, and it was $180, and that included the hardware, the new hardware to mount the wheels, the new hardware to assemble the wheels, I'm sorry, and to mount my tires. My TPMS sensors were a little over $600. I got a discount from that. I know somebody that works at the BMW. So parts and tax and everything, it was like five and some change. I bought some other stuff. I bought a hat and a hoodie and some other stuff like that. So my total bill came out to $600, but the sensors were probably like $480 or $490 using the employee discount. But you should expect to pay, I think I was quoted $620 for the $620 for the TPMS sensors. That's not what I paid, because shout out my homegirl Mandy. She hooked me up and she let me use her discount. So it was like $626 for TPMS sensors. Then we go on to the rubber. I went with Nitto, so I have Nitto G2s in the rear, Nitto R2s in the rear. I apologize. The radials, those are $918 for the set of two, and then I have G2s in the front. Those were $720 for the set of two, and then lastly for the wheels, I got R44 arch guards. Because of the size of wheel that I went with, people have a lot of rubbing with their original stock guards. So I bought the replacement guards that have the netting that's a little bit more recessed to give more travel for the wheels without rubbing the fender. Those were $330 for the set of two. And then lastly, we could get into all the cosmetic stuff. I had purchased a used lip from a G80 owner that I know out here in town. He only used the lip for a couple weeks and took it off his car. I paid $510 for that lip. I don't know what it cost originally. I don't even know what brand or model the lip is too, so I apologize. I also purchased a secondary lip just in case that lip is a crack. I go through lips really bad. With my old G80, the only lip that I cracked was during the accident, so the lip was obliterated completely. But in my E30s and my 335s and other Beamers before that, I go through lips insanely. So I always keep a spare lip in, just in the garage just in case. I spent $199 for this lip. It's a really, really cheap lip. It's just a regular lip with carbon skin on it. That way, if I should crack a lip, I could just throw that on there to the time being until I purchase a lip. Lips are expensive for G80s and they're always in back order. So I wanted to make sure I didn't want to spend $1,000 again for a brand new lip that I might not ever use. So I said, let me just spend $200, get a backup lip. That way my car's not running around without his chin missing should I crack the lip, and that'll give me time to order another, a better lip. Then I also ordered the M Performance Center console, the Alcantara Center console. I had one on my original G80, but during the accident, two of the letters on the console came off. I guess it rubbed off with my elbow, like while we were spinning around. I sold that one and I repurchased a new one. That was $393 for the console. I also went with Black Forest and got an Alcantara shift boot as well. That was $153. Off the old car, I bought VLAN OLED taillights. I was able to take those off of the old car, but the price for that was $357. Then I have another sponsor. My final sponsor is with Miami Carbon Design, my boy Alex down there. He got me a steering wheel. I'm going to tell you what the price of what his steering wheels are. Once again, this is not my price. I'm not giving you guys my price because my sponsors asked me not to do that. But for a custom made steering wheel, you'll be looking at roughly $1,500 for a new steering wheel. I had got a used carbon engine cover from one of my boys out in town before he sold his G80 and ultimately bought his G90. He charged me $400 for this. That was through, what company is that? Because it was his sponsor. Through Gamma. That was through Project Gamma. So I know that engine cover costs way more than $400, but they gave it to him because he was sponsored with them. So he just wanted a couple dollars. So I gave him $400 for that. It was brand new, unused. Then, sorry, I lied. My last sponsor is Studio RSR. They heavily do not want me to tell what they charge me for my roll cage because I got like the top of the line package with everything, all bells and whistles, powder coated, a particular color. I got the chromoly, I got the rear seat Alcantara seat delete, like I got the cage that is the quick disconnect. Like they really hooked me up. They really hooked me up, and like they really hooked me up. So I'm not going to get too in depth in that because I don't want to ruin business for them. Typically, the package that I got is going to run you around $6,000. I'm not going to tell you guys what I paid because they're going to be ready to fight me. But anyway, shout out to Studio Studio RSR. Shout out my guy Dylan over there. And shout out everybody that is taking care of that roll cage for me. Next, we have OEME. I got a custom color coded fire extinguisher through them. My price was $670 and 61 cents. Then I got the LGB extended center console lighting. I forgot what company I went through that. That ran me $330. Sorry about me keep wiping my nose. My freaking allergies are like going crazy. Like this dust and everything, like driving me nuts. I apologize. Then I went, shout out my boy Reese, R44. I get so much stuff through R44 and I support them heavy. Reese is somebody that I'm in contact and communication with a lot, just talking about a bunch of stuff. Reese has serious G8 X platform cars, whether it's the G87, the G83, the G80, the G82. They have so many wild cars over there. But shout out my boy Reese. I got the front grills from R44. I love these grills because you don't really see them that much, and I don't really see them on anybody's car, so that's definitely gonna stand out. There's only a few front grills that really look nice on the G80 as far as aftermarket. Like I said, I've never seen anybody use these besides them, so I'm excited. That front grille will run you $1,044. I paired that up with their R44 rear splitters. Those will run you $565. Then I went to Beamer plug for my high kick rear spoiler. The spoiler was $315. I went with K2 with my carbon bucket overlays. The side of the bucket seats are not carbon, so I found some overlays that go over that to make the whole seat carbon. Those are $560. I ordered some side skirt carbon extensions. Those were $700. Then on my first G80, I had the white heritage hood, or let me say it properly, boot and bonnet emblems. I decided to go with the black carbon boot and bonnet emblems this time. Those ran me $125. I purchased off eBay a gloss black F80 M3 badge. That was $55. And then I went with Auto Technic. This part I'm still waiting for to come in. Auto Technic for the carbon cooling shroud. I had the same thing on my previous G80. That was $550. Then I went with Meyer Fabrication. Shout out my boys on Meyer Fabrication. You can find them online on Instagram. They make a sick oil cooler guard. You can get your name etched into it and everything. Those guards will run you $360. And then my last two components that I purchased or parts were through Keys Motorsports. Shout out to Keys Motorsports. This will let you know when this video was shot. Keys Motorsports just started doing all this wild stuff with the unlocking and the DMEs, but shout out them. Quick little excerpt. Shout out Keys for breaking that monopoly, and now Femto and everybody else is starting to lower their prices on unlocking DMEs and doing a full bench unlock. So shout out to Keys. But I got the Keys carbon strut front brace. That was roughly $1,200. And then I got the Keys black splash guards, and those ran me $132. All right, so I told you guys how much I spent for every part and where I've gotten them from for the most part, line by line. But the number one overall question that we all are having is, good feats, how much money have you spent in total on this car before your car's even in production, or before it's even been built, or before you even got your keys? And what we're going to do, I'm going to leave you guys on the cliffhanger, is because we're going to tally and we're going to add all these totals up. But then we're going to slide back to the house and I'm going to tell you guys how much all of this has costed me so far. All right, yeah, so we made it back to the crib. And I did the tallying of everything. Every time I do the tally, I'd be so shocked myself because I still can't believe it. I'm like, there's no way. This is what I spent. But the overall total almost came out to $60,000. It came out to $58,888 and some change. Still can't believe it, but like I told you guys before, this is a no nonsense, no corner cut build. So I do not regret spending a dime. But that is just all parts. That is not labor, anything obviously included because the vehicle is not here. A lot of the labor myself I will be doing. So I'm planning everything out in 3 phases. Phase 1 is a lot of the cosmetic parts. I will be installing all of that stuff myself, whether it's at work or here at home. So the labor shouldn't be too much. I will need to drop the car off at Frank to take care of the labor for phase 2, which will be putting on a lot of the transmission stuff and that part of the powertrain, like my clutch, my short shifter, my pedal, my exhaust, my suspension, all that other stuff will be phase 1, and then phase 3, so phase 2, and then phase 3 will be putting this turbocharger on and doing the tune and everything, and then getting over 800 horsepower initially to start with. All right, so that will conclude this video. I do apologize. I know this was a really long video. This was a lot of information to get out to you guys. I did not want to do this in segments or do a part 1 or part 2. Just kind of wanted to get this all out. Like I explained to you guys before, the next video will be the overall transition of getting the vehicle. When you do purchase a new BMW, you go through allocation, you get to actually watch online your car being built, the steps and the phases. So I will go over all that with you guys. So in the next video, we will know exactly what the car looks like, and we'll watch the process, and you'll be able to follow me along through the process of what it took to allocate my car. But all right, y'all know the vibes. Like, comment, and subscribe. Tell a friend and tell a friend. Hit that notification button if you haven't already. And then I got a little special something for everybody that stuck through the video. I know this was a long video, so I have to give like a little prize or reward to the people that have stuck through the video in its entirety. I'm gonna give you guys a sneak peek. My wheels just came back, so if you have fast forward, or if you have not watched this video in its entirety, you're going to miss out on this. I'm going to give you guys a little sneak peek of what my wheels look like, and this will give you an answer on what my interior is going to look like. For those that know. All right, y'all. I'll catch y'all next episode.